Welcome back. All right, so one question that gets asked a lot is the best goaltending tandem in the NHL. Now, I've done goaltending videos this season. I always find goaltending really fascinating because from one week to the next, the storyline can completely change. Who we view as being good that week may be different than the one we viewed as being good the week before. Now, there are exceptions. There are certain goaltenders that are much better than others. Now, last year, Igor Shesterkin was miles ahead of everybody else. This year, it looks like Linus Ullmark might be the guy. Now, in best tandem, I'm wearing Boston because the numbers would state it's Boston, but we'll go ahead and go through, and I will make an argument for the ones where I feel like you can. We'll start with Boston. They're at the top of the board because I arranged this by goals against. The best goals against average in the league right now is Boston's. This goes all the way to 16th, which is Pittsburgh. That's how I come up with this. There's nothing random with this one. So Ullmark has a 938 save percentage. Swayman's at 916. Really good numbers. If you look at quality starts, thus being starts where their save percentage is 900 or higher, 82.8% of the time Ullmark has a save percentage that good. For Swayman, it's 64.7%. Now, of course, Boston fans will look at that and go, see, Swayman's much worse than Ullmark. Swayman's number is better than most of the other goaltenders on this board. It's been very good. Now, if you look at goals saved above average per 60 minutes, Ullmark's in just by himself there at 939. So almost a goal saved above expected for each game. And then for Swayman, it's a .489 number, which to put in perspective, Ottinger's is .525, Shesterkin's is .534. So Swayman's numbers have been excellent. Ullmark's numbers are excellent. I would say yes. Boston right now has the best goaltending tandem. There might be some protection there from their blue line as well. Like I was thinking, all right, do I have to do all 32 teams? And there will be arguments for goaltenders who aren't on the board, but this is about tandems. And I think the top 16 in the league probably captures all of the top tandems in the league. Dallas is next up because they're second in goals against average in the league. Ottinger, 925 save percentage, Wedgwood 911. So what's interesting is we're also seeing a nice separation between starters and backups when it comes to save percentage. Now, when you look at quality starts, Ottinger, 71.4% of the time. Wedgwood, 64.3% of the time. So they're getting good goaltending from both the starter and the backup. If you look at goals saved above expected per 60 minutes, Ottinger, .524, Wedgwood, .97. Very .297, sorry, .297. Really good numbers overall for their goaltending tandem. And I would agree, yes, that's one of the best in the league. Wedgwood's been really good since landing in Dallas. I've never understood why Wedgwood bounces around the league as much as he does, but that's okay. I think it's his stance. I think, and that gets commented on as his stance. He's kind of low in the net, makes him look small. I think that's what it is. I mean, his numbers have always been at least good enough. He should be in the NHL, but he gets waived and traded and bounces around and no idea. Then you get to New Jersey, who are number 3 in goals against average, but the goaltending numbers don't look good on the surface. Vanacek, a 918 save percentage, Blackwood 896. Quality starts, Vanacek's way ahead of Blackwood. Blackwood is 50% of the time. He has a save percentage of 900 or higher. Vanacek, 67.9%. Now, if you look at goals saved above expected per 60 minutes, Vanacek, .283, which is a good number. Blackwood, .161. So Blackwood's still saving more than expected, even though his save percentage is at 896. So that tells you he's not having a bad season. His save percentage may not be where you want it to be, but when that comes up, his goals saved above expected will go up as well. So overall, it's kind of a mixed bag with Blackwood. I don't think you can make the argument you have the best tandem there. So, Winnipeg, Hellebuck and Riddick. Hellebuck may very well end up being the guy who wins the Vezina this year. I think it's between Hellebuck and Ullmark right now. Hellebuck, 925 save percentage. 75.7% of his starts have been of the quality variety. Goals saved above expected per 60 minutes, .596. One of the top numbers in the National Hockey League. It's not at Ullmark's number because anything Boston is ridiculous right now. Riddick, 908 save percentage. 58.3% of his starts are quality starts. Goals saved above expected, it's actually a negative .085. So the blue ones, those are the ones that are negatives. There's not very many of them on the board. The only one that's got a negative for both is Vegas, which means double negative is a positive. At any rate, Riddick got off to a rough start. I think he's been better lately. I think his numbers are getting better. Then you get to the Rangers, Shesterkin and Halak. Now, Shesterkin, as I said, was leaps and bounds above everybody else last year. This year, .918 save percentage. 57.1% of his starts are of the quality variety. 434 is the number when it comes to above expected per 60 minutes. So .434 there. For Halak, 901 save percentage. That has gotten better. 58.3% of his starts are of the quality variety. So it's actually a higher number than Shesterkin's, but goals saved above expected per 60 minutes, .143. So Halak has turned around what was a really slow start for him. And really a couple of rough seasons for Halak. It's nice to see him having a good year with the Rangers. The Rangers kept putting him in at the right spots, and it feels like now he's kind of got things going. Then you get to Toronto. Toronto, for all of the criticism and all of the just absolute ridiculousness of every single player being looked at in intricate detail, their goaltending's been pretty good. Samsonov's been excellent. .920 save percentage. 70% of his starts are of the quality variety. Shesterkin's at 57.1%. Ottinger's at 71.4%. So Samsonov's 70% is A-OK. And goals saved above expected per 60 minutes, .676. One of the highest numbers on the board and higher than Hellebuck's. Less games played than Hellebuck, yes. But it tells you Samsonov's playing pretty darn well. Matt Murray, .911 save percentage. Quality starts, 52.6% there. Goals saved above expected per 60 minutes, .262. So while Murray has not had a fantastic year, his number here is still better than most of the rest of the backup goaltenders. Because at this point, I think it's pretty safe to say Samsonov's the starter. He may not stay as the starter. Maybe Murray ends up being the starter later in the season. But the fact they've got two goaltenders who can be the starter, it's a remarkable run for a team where we still see is the goaltending going to hold up? Then you get to Carolina. It's Anderson and Raanta. I didn't add Kochetkov because Kochetkov's numbers have come down, plus he's not in the tandem right now. Freddie Anderson's been really good since coming back. He's got a .910 save percentage. 50% of his starts are of the quality variety. But I think that's come up as well. I think that number's going to go up as we get into the second half of the season here. Goals saved above expected per 60 minutes, .099. So again, positives for Anderson. Raanta, not as much. .894 save percentage, 31.3% of his starts are of the quality type. His goals saved above expected, a negative .244 per 60 minutes. So when I look at the numbers here, that's the second worst per 60 minutes on the board. Only better than Aiden Hill's. His percentage of quality starts is the lowest on the board. It's not close. I think he's the only one. He's one of the few who's below 50%. So Ronta's year's been less than stellar. And so I would think next year it'll probably be Freddie Anderson and Kochetkov, providing Freddie Anderson comes back. But we'll see. Then you get to Colorado. Colorado's goaltending has been pretty darn solid, whether it's Georgiev or Francouz. The save percentages bear that out. .919 save percentage for Georgiev. Quality starts 63.6% of the time. Goals saved above expected, .350 per 60 minutes. Francouz, .920 save percentage. Quality starts 61.5% of the time. Goals saved above expected, .185 per 60 minutes. So Georgiev is the better goaltender, even though the save percentage is a little bit lower. It would tell you get more quality starts with him, and you're getting more goals saved that are of the dangerous variety than you are with Francouz, but both numbers are not bad. The .185 for Francouz is still ahead of like Darcy Kemper, who's right here for Washington. So it's not bad. Then you get to Washington. You've got Kemper and Lindgren there. Kemper, .916 save percentage. Quality starts 56.3% of the time. Goals saved above expected, .181 points per 60 minutes. Then you get to Lindgren, .908 save percentage. Quality starts 61.1% of the time, so a little bit higher than Lindgren, or a little bit higher than Kemper, I should say. .051 goals saved above expected per 60 minutes. So this is where you're looking at a tandem in Washington that's good, not fantastic. So the teams that are probably going to have to outscore what might be tough starts for their goalies Right now you've got Carolina and Washington might be two of those teams. The overall numbers are good for them. Their goals against, clearly good because this is your top 10 in goals against in the league. Their goaltenders might be getting sheltered a little bit in that their advanced numbers tell you they're good, not fantastic. Then you get to the New York Islanders, and Sorokin is fantastic. So we're just going to put that aside. 922 save percentage. And again, you have Hellebuck, you have Ullmark. I think Sorokin is one of the 3 finalists for the Vezina right now, too. Yeah, I don't think Igor would be a finalist if we did the voting right now. Sorokin with the 922 save percentage. Quality starts 68.6% of the time. Goals saved above expected per 60 minutes, 0.691. So that's over half a goal a game that he's saving that he's not supposed to and not expected to. Varlamov, a 908 save percentage, but quality starts 64.3% of the time. If you can get 64% of the starts from your backup or quality, that's fantastic. That's roughly the same number as Swayman for Boston. It's about the same number as Wedgwood. And it might be the difference between a team that's in the playoffs, not in the playoffs. The thing is, the Islanders right now are not a playoff team. Goals saved above expected per 60 minutes by Varlamov, 0.066. So he's not having the same year as Sorokin. You can tell the difference between the two, but Varlamov still gives them solid goaltending. Then you get outside the top 10, you get to Minnesota. You've got Fleury and Gustafsson. Gustafsson is clearly the better of the two goaltenders. Fleury, a 903 save percentage. Quality starts 53.6% of the time. 0.55. So 0.055 goals saved above expected per 60 minutes for him. Then you have Gustafsson, a 922 save percentage. Quality starts 72.2% of the time. None of these numbers are close. And then you get to goals saved above expected per 60 minutes. Gustafsson, 0.609. These numbers are not close. Gustafsson should be starting a lot. Like a lot. Often, unless it's back-to-backs. Gustafsson should be the guy. This shouldn't be controversial. Then you get to Vegas. Vegas, both goaltendings having their challenges. So I've seen Vegas fans complaining about the goaltending. The numbers do bear it out. So Logan Thompson, a 912 save percentage. Quality starts 54.6% of the time. Goals saved above expected. It's actually a negative 0.081 per 60 minutes. Aiden Hill, 907 is his save percentage. 50% of the time you're getting a quality start from him. A negative 0.290 goals saved above expected per 60 minutes. So he's allowing about a quarter of a goal per game that otherwise should be expected to be saved. And I've noticed with Hill, he's had his struggles in the last couple of months. He got off to a really good start in Vegas. It has not stayed that way. So I don't know if you end up bringing up Bressois at some point, if Hill gets moved, but Hill's numbers have not been fantastic. Then you get to Nashville, where the numbers are fantastic. Nashville, the goaltenders have both been just great. How many times can I say fantastic? Well, with Saros, 920 save percentage. 66.7% of his games have been, or his starts have been of the quality variety. 0.665 goals saved above expected per 60 minutes. That's a fantastic number. 0.665 puts him ahead of Hellebuck, puts him up with Sorokin, well below Ullmark at this point. But it's a reason why, if you wanted to vote for Saros instead of Hellebuck, you could look at that advanced stat and say, Saros has been better per 60 minutes. But Lankinen's not that far off. Lankinen's number is almost the same as Hellebuck's. 924 save percentage. Hellebuck has a 925. 70% of his starts have been of the quality variety. Hellebuck's at 75.7. And goals saved above expected, 0.595 per 60 minutes. Hellebuck's at 0.596. So Lankinen has really had quite the season for Nashville thus far. I think he's been fantastic, and I'm glad to see the numbers bear that out. Then you get to Tampa. Vasilevsky, 917 save percentage. 61.8% of his starts have been of the quality variety. Goals saved above expected per 60 minutes, 0.469. Vasilevsky, very solid, very good numbers. In a playoff Game 7 right now, he might be the goaltender that would get picked over almost anybody else on the board. But the numbers would tell you he doesn't warrant a nomination for the Vezina right now. He's had some ups and downs so far this year. Team in front of him's pretty darn good. It hasn't negatively impacted him. Elliott, 903 save percentage. Quality starts 50% of the time. Goals saved above expected, 0.141 per 60. Elliott had a rough start to the season. That drags his overall number down. I think Tampa Bay's tandem is pretty good. In fact, one of the reasons why I didn't just do the top 10, which is what I initially planned to do, was I thought I can't do this and not have Vasilevsky on the board. I also can't do this and not have Calgary on the board. Before the season started, a lot of people would have said, well, Calgary's going to have one of the best tandems in the league. They might still have that, but the numbers don't really bear that out. Markstrom, 895 save percentage, quality starts, 43.8% of the time. The same number as Dan Vladar has been providing. So that's an issue right there. Goals saved above expected, 0.065 per 60 minutes for Markstrom. So he's in the positive. He's not in the negative, but he's not providing that same level of goaltending as, say, like Freddie Anderson's at 0.099. He's at 0.065. Like Vanacek, 0.283. So the overall numbers would tell you Markstrom has had some challenges. Vladar has as well, 904 save percentage, so his number's better. That quality start still at 43.8%. Goals saved above expected, it's actually a negative 0.172 per 60 minutes. So Vladar's had some really good games, but the overall picture with Vladar has still not been exactly where I think you'd want it to be if you're Calgary. The Flames would envision themselves as being top 10 in goals against. You have Daryl Sutter behind the bench. You have a very well-paid goaltender who's coming off of a Vezina-nominated season last year. I think that number overall is disappointing, being 15th. And then 16th, the final one on the board, Jarry and DeSmith for Pittsburgh. 921 save percentage for Jarry. Quality starts, 66.7% of the time. Goals saved above expected, 0.121 per 60 minutes. So the numbers for Jarry are good. They're not Vezina level. It's not, going to make you forget about Hellebuck or anything, but they've been good. And DeSmith, 900 save percentage. Quality starts, 47.4% of the time. Goals saved above expected. It's actually a negative with DeSmith, negative 0.069 per 60 minutes. So for the differences between the goaltenders, Jarry and DeSmith, it is kind of a big difference. And still, there are going to be those who say, well, what about my team? What about my team? Because that's always what happens. But I thought, no, I'm going to do top 16. So for my money, wearing Boston, I still think, Ullmark, Swayman, the numbers would tell you that's your best tandem right now. The question that gets asked, and it rightfully would be asked, okay, but in a playoff situation, how far does Ullmark get the Bruins? And that is one question mark that I don't have the answer to because Ullmark doesn't have the kind of playoff resume that other goaltenders would have. But, Hellebuck, he hasn't had a long run in a long time either. So, we'll see. But let me know which tandem you think is the best in the National Hockey League right now. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.